Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
No, none taken.
That is right, none taken. This is the Movie Moron podcast, and I am the Movie Moron, and I am your host, Easton Moore.
Now this is pod racing.
It sure is. And then with us, as always, is my practical co-host himself, Trevor.
You fool!
And then our all-time guest, Tristen.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Thank you.
Those are great. Can those be standard?
Sure.
No.
No, my computer is currently exporting another episode, so I can't use it. So I just had to use what was already stocked. So, and last week we already did what was stocked from like a month prior with the Burt ones. So those are supposed to be the everyday ones, but I can't label them, so I never know what they are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to use them live because I push it and it won't mean what we think it means or what I think it means.
These are my everyday balloons.
But like we said on last episode, we are going to be doing Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Yep. And now we're copyrighted. Thanks, Trevor.
Oh, no. Listen, that's my arrangement. So back off, Sony or whoever.
Yeah, we'll
the
fight it in
studio
court.
is. Yeah.
We'll take it to court for the 3 cents.
Yeah, with the terrible first starting note and then ending on the wrong pitch.
No. But yeah, we're doing Dead Reckoning Part 1, which is the, 24th Mission Impossible movie.
7.
7th. I don't know. I agree to disagree.
Close.
Oh, it's Paramount, not Sony.
Oh, okay. But yeah, this is part 1 of part 2, which I assume is the finale of the Mission Impossible movies. It's not confirmed or anything. I'm just kind of assuming because Tom Cruise is already trying to kill himself on set, so he's only going to be able to make a few more. If you don't know what I'm
pretty
talking
old,
about,
isn't he?
Yeah, he's old.
He's 61.
60, yeah.
That's what I thought.
But if you don't know what I'm talking about, the big scene of this where
The cliff.
the cliff scene, he filmed at the very beginning of production because he did it.
It took him 6 takes.
Yeah. And he wanted to do it at the very beginning of the production because he very easily could have died doing the stunt. And so if he did, they wouldn't have wasted $200 million making the movie.
Heck?
So like,
He's gotta be like literally insane.
he's just an adrenaline junkie. I mean, and
Yeah.
he funds his adrenaline junkying through movies, and we get to see it. It's cool. It's obviously like, I don't know. I don't even want to say it's like crazy or anything because there are people that do this stuff all the time and they just die and like they don't. I mean, I don't want to say that they don't do anything for the world, but like he's
Sure.
channeling this adrenaline junkie stuff into entertainment that people can enjoy. But people do this kind of stuff all the time and they die all the time doing these crazy stunts.
Like watching those people go through caves underwater.
Yep.
And like they get trapped under there. And
Yeah.
it's terrible, but that they like doing it. That's what gets
the
their
riskiest
kick.
or like the most deadliest adventure you can or activity, whatever hobby you can get into is wingsuit, like the squirrel suit stuff. The mortality rate of that activity is like through the roof, but people still always dive into it and want to try it because it's like peak adrenaline. Anyway, so like that's what the comment was after, and I think it's really cool. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, and when you see that scene, it's in the trailer, but when you see the entire scene, know that that's 100% real. He didn't green screen any of that. He flew off of a cliff. Parachuted. Yeah.
I was watching this interview with Matt Damon, and Tom Cruise invited him over to his house once for dinner, and they were talking about, I think, some stunt where he was out on the outside of a skyscraper. I assume maybe Gross Protocol.
I've seen the picture.
I love that.
Tom Cruise, apparently went to the safety coordinator and explained the stunt to him. And he said he'd been thinking about it for like 15 years. Explained the stunt to the safety coordinator, and the safety coordinator was like, no, we're not doing that. So Tom Cruise went and found a different safety guy and got him to like get on board with it. And so I was like, oh, that's how these movies keep getting made, is he just keeps finding people willing to do it.
Yeah. I mean, the other famous crazy one that he did, obviously that was one, the plane scene.
Yeah.
He legitimately hung onto the side of a plane as it took off. He was wired in. They CGI'd out the wires, but he did hold on to the side of a plane as it took off. And I don't know how long he was on the plane, but all of that was real.
I want to say it was like 6 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
But
The dude's insane.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. And we get to see it for entertainment. So, yeah, let's just get into actual general thoughts of this movie. Prerequisite, this movie is on my draft.
It is. That's right.
So,
yeah, it was 6 minutes straight up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
so don't rate it higher or lower because it's on my draft. But just letting the audience know this was one that was on my draft.
Are you prefacing that because you think we're going to rate it really high?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just remember
I
because we
always
just
ask.
Yeah, we had just chatted about it. And we've got a lot coming up here with Barbie and Oppenheimer because I think I have Barbie and you have Oppenheimer.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Tristen thought she had Barbie and she didn't. She had Mario, which was a really good one. And you also had The Last Exorcist, which did well with us. So did you watch it? The Last Exorcist? Okay, I couldn't remember.
I'm the only one that rated it. Yeah.
See?
Tristen remembers.
Okay. No, it's all good. Yeah, general thoughts. Trevor, what were general thoughts of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1?
So overall,
Such a mouthful.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the Mission Impossible movies. I know, and I watch them, and they're entertaining when I watch them, but they make me do something that I don't necessarily like. It's like in order for me to enjoy the movie, I have to turn my brain off, and I have to just watch it and be entertained. And I don't like that I have to make that cognitive choice in my brain to do that. So, I mean, they're great, and people love them. I will watch them, and I think Tom Cruise is a great actor. And
Do you think it's the same thing with like the Fast and Furious movies? Like, are you putting those in the same realm? I know not you, Tristen. I'm asking him because that's what a lot of people say about the Fast and Furious movies is that you have to turn your brain off to watch the Fast and Furious movies. Do you think it's kind of in the same realm of, or
not exactly because? So we're getting into like my personal opinion now.
Well, that's what the show is.
Yeah, the Fast and Furious movies know they're silly, and they know that they're willing to break the rules and break whatever. But the Mission Impossible movies aren't that. They take themselves very seriously as spy thriller or as like espionage spy thrillers, action movies, and I already am kind of on the fence with action movies anyway.
Rude.
I know. I went and saw it when I kind of decided that was actually after I had seen Fallout. The third act like chase sequence with Henry Cavill and Tom Cruise. I was just the whole time I was like, when is this going to end? This is taking a million years. Anyway, so that's kind of what my just going into my thoughts. That's kind of my vibe on Mission Impossibles. That being said, I did enjoy this. And I watched them for the stunts. I mean, the only thing I remember about Rogue Nation is the airplane thing. The only thing I remember about Fallout is the helicopter stuff, which I think might not even have been the big stunt. But
okay, but what about the trio here with Haley Atwell, Rebecca Ferguson, and Vanessa Kirby?
Was
3 chicks.
Who plays Grace?
Haley Atwell.
I found Grace to be extremely unlikable through almost the entire thing. And on top of that, I thought her and Hunt's relationship
a little forced.
I found it very forced.
I think it's just supposed I think you're going off of all of the old movies and like I think it's kind of expecting you to understand how Hunt's relationship with women are.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that earlier is that I think the people that are rating us higher than I'm going to, spoiler alert, are like fans of the series and they know the tropes of Mission Impossible and they like them. Yeah. So me not like, barely remembering the movies and then coming into this one.
I guess I just kind of found them doing something like a James Bond thing where like he's on a mission, he finds a woman in the mission, he falls in love with the woman on the mission.
But then they don't even fall in love
because
though.
She's attractive. Well, he was in love with somebody else before that.
Yeah.
I think this is part 1 of a part 2.
Yeah.
Which is another problem I have with not this movie particular. I'm starting to have an issue with movies as a whole. This is like
doing the part two,
the
two-part
17th
thing.
part one of part movies we've had in the past 2 years.
Well, you know who did it first?
It'd be Dune.
Well,
Or-
Endgame. Infinity War and Endgame is
Well-
technically a two-parter.
Yeah, but it's not called part one, part two.
It
That's-
was originally. It was going to be Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2.
But it's not.
Right. But I'm saying, like, I think that's how it started, that was the first big one to do it.
I have a problem with all of these studios that are saying like, look, this is just the part one. Like, this isn't the full story. We're
Yeah.
doing movies throughout history have always done that. Lord of the Rings had part 1, 2, 3. Star Wars had part 1, 2, 3. But you didn't label it part one. Like, you
Right.
made the movie, and like you knew that there was going to be something after, but it was just I like this could just be called Dead Reckoning, and then the next
Yeah.
one could be called something else. That's what I just have an issue with, and it's not. I think when Dune did it, I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, I felt like they were the first one to actually do part one, at least in a while, and then I feel
Sure.
like maybe it's just because Across the Spider-Verse did it extremely recently, which was annoying, and then this one, and I feel like there was
another one. I can't
Okay.
think of what it was either.
Okay, so it's not 17, but it just feels like a trend that's happening.
Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Fast
yeah.
and Furious. Yep. So it's just a trend happening over the last 2 years that I'm getting a little sick of.
Sure.
That happens once. It's, hey, that's a creative decision this director made for this movie. Now it's just like, oh, the whole movie business is just going into, we're making a 5-hour movie, but we don't know how to cut it into 2 hours and a half. So we're just going to make it a two-part 5-hour movie.
Well, and that equals dollars. I mean, it's more money for you if you have a 5-hour story that you can split up into 2 parts, because then you're going to get basically twice as much money for the same thing.
Yeah. But like, I even think Avatar, as much as I think of like, it's not like my favorite franchise or anything, it's at least doing it like, we're going to make 5 movies. It's not Avatar Part 1, Avatar Part 2, Avatar Part 3, Avatar Part 4, and Avatar Part 5. It's just, we have 5 movies worth of story.
Right.
And the first one's Avatar, the second one's Way of the Water, the third one, I don't think it's named yet, but it's going to be named something else.
Yeah.
It feels better just if it's just named something.
Yeah,
Part 1
that's
just
fair.
feels lazy, and I
Okay,
just don't
yeah.
like the current trend of doing this Part 1, Part 2 thing.
Right.
So, and now Mission Impossible is just the latest of them and the last one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't see another one on the horizon too. So,
Right.
maybe it hit a boiling point.
Maybe. But to give you kind of a nutshell, I thought the stunts were fun. I did enjoy a lot of the train stuff in the end. I thought that was great.
Another one.
There was a part in the chase sequence in Rome that I found a little demeaning.
It also just like we just saw this chase.
Yeah.
Was it Fast and Furious
And Dial of Destiny has a chase like this.
in the same location?
It's close. I think they're in Africa.
Fast and
in
Furious?
Dial of Destiny.
It's the
the
same
same
exact
city.
location,
And it's the same
they use the
staircase.
same staircase.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, guys, this is too stupid. Like,
Yeah.
now I obviously that's not a choice. Are these the same studios?
I want to
Fast
say
and Furious.
I want to
and
say
Mission
no.
Impossible? Okay. But like, so it probably wasn't like on purpose.
Sure.
I'm sure they just both had the idea of using this thing, and then it just happened to both be shown in the
Universal.
3
does
months.
Fast and Furious.
3 months different,
Yeah,
but I was just like, are we really getting the same exact thing? Like they bulldoze, one thing's bulldozing through and the other one's trying to drift through down the stairs.
Right.
Like it's literally the same exact chase scene.
Yeah. So there was that, and then with as far as relationships go, I like the original guys, Benji and Luther, and then
Yeah, the classics.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I found Grace's character to be extremely forced. I think the way the antagonist is handled in this works for a 90s movie, but not a movie in 2023. And I'll give you some of my reasons when we get to spoilers. But I think overall, I did have fun with this, but I don't think it's as great as everybody is saying that it is. And that's all I have.
Tristen, what were your original thoughts of the 90% of the movie you were able to watch?
I knew you were going to say something about that. Sorry, I haven't spoken much. Yeah. I have a problem because the first Mission Impossible movie I watched was Ghost Protocol in theaters, and I didn't know that there were more of them. And so I was like, I loved it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. But then I found out that it was like number 5 or something.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah. And then it didn't feel as special anymore. And then I was like, oh, there's still more. They keep, okay. And so I'm kind of like,
Kind of lukewarm on it.
yeah. But I mean, I do enjoy it. I wish I wasn't that way. I don't think I know I haven't seen all of the movies. So maybe that has an impact to it. I don't know. I really like Benji a lot, and I've liked him since Ghost Protocol.
Yeah, he's great.
And he's got a good little moment in this too.
Yeah.
The core 3 have been in the movies for I think almost since the beginning, and they're all great. They're the other ones being Luther. Yeah, I think they're don't like Luther as much.
No, he's fine.
I think his like style of delivery and humor is just a little bit. It's different from Benji. Benji's a little more wacky, and Luther is a little bit more reserved.
I don't remember him from the other one that I watched.
Ghost Protocol is the 4th movie.
Okay.
And that's when it started like solidifying itself as like I don't know, more like grounded or like fun. The first 3 were like serious, like gritty spy action movies.
Yeah.
And they were a little far-fetched and dumb too. But then I don't know, I feel like Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and Fallout have all been.
I think I have seen Rogue Nation.
And those have felt more the same vibe.
Yeah. That's what I say. I think they found their footing on and I feel like it has the same vibe as this movie too.
Yeah.
They just found their footing on what they were going for. So.
Yeah.
Which one is the one where they're stuck in a circle thing and the water's filling up? Nope. Okay.
Is that
not
Fallout?
sure? I'm honestly not sure. I watched these movies when they like Mission Impossible 1, 2, and 3. I grew up on with my dad. He was a huge fan of them. Anytime they were on TV, we watched them.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. And then I started watching them in theaters when they came out. Ghost Protocol, whatever. And I don't think I've seen them since watching them the first time in theaters, which I always enjoy them, but I don't find them to be overly like rewatchable. I have like 25 movies that are high rewatchable movies that I watch all the time over and over again, and then I watch new movies. Like that's my 2 things. I don't go back and watch like, oh yeah, I thought that was interesting and that was fun that one time. I'm gonna go watch that again for the second time 10 years later.
I was listening back to our back catalog like when I first started coming on more regularly, and there was an episode where I said something like I base my rating as like on rewatchability as well. And I listening back to it, I was like, "Oh, poor young dumb Trevor, what are you doing?" It's Rogue Nation is the underwater stuff.
Okay.
So
I think I've only seen.
So you missed
3
Fallout
now, in the first 3. Yeah. I've only seen 4, 5, and
7.
That's okay.
And so since knowing, were you gonna say something?
No.
Or was I just loud?
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's all good. They'll survive.
Since realizing that it wasn't its own movie, it kind of made me sad, and now I'm like, it feels like the same movie again and again. But it's still enjoyable.
You couldn't see that, but she awkwardly smiled when she said that.
Speaking with that, like I do think I could I could probably go back and rewatch this movie like today and be okay with it.
Which is funny because you didn't want to the first time.
No, that's correct.
Yeah, you had an option to watch this on Tuesday.
And I biffed it.
Yeah,
like
because
and the other thing.
Yeah. Somebody else wanted to watch it with you, and you're like, I'm kind of glad I didn't watch this because I don't want to watch it twice. And now you're like, I could watch it again.
Yeah, and I think I could go back and rewatch it because the parts that I didn't care for, I could get up and like go get popcorn or like go to the
and they're not long.
Something. No, they're not. Yeah. And then I could come back for it because that's why you watch these movies is the action sequences.
Yeah. So my journal thoughts. Thanks for asking, guys.
You didn't ask
What's
me.
That? Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't. I just started talking.
I said, and then she went.
Okay.
Take that.
Is that I don't know. I had a lot of fun, but it did take a while. I think this is another byproduct problem. issue with seeing other people talk about a movie before you go see it. I saw nothing but raving reviews, 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a similar audience score.
Yeah.
Everybody I had on Letterboxd were 4.5 to 5 stars, and the first half hour to maybe hour, I couldn't stop thinking like, this is what people are just raving about.
That opening scene
You
is
need to
bad.
stop listening to
Or not
people,
the
Easton.
opening scene, but
Well, I
like
can't-
leading up to
No.
the title screen. I was like, I leaned over to the person I was with, and I was like, I'm not impressed.
Yeah,
Like,
and it was a long title screen too.
Yeah.
Before we got there. But like, I don't know. I didn't mind the first. Okay, I didn't mind the first, like, in the sand. The sand.
No, that's fine.
Okay,
Yes.
cool,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Because that's towards the beginning.
Right.
But one problem I really did have with it was extremely predictable. Anything that you expected to happen did happen. There was no surprise. I think it's just a problem with the fact that we're on our 7th film. I knew right away that when he was using the face masks and that it was Ethan and not the person that we were supposed to think it was.
And the editing in that scene is so rough.
It was just so obvious, and maybe it was supposed to be obvious. I don't know, but like, it wasn't just that moment. I can't think of it exactly, but every time I was just like, I feel like this is going to happen. That's exactly what happens. I think the only thing that was that I didn't predict was the fact that Grace shows up in the first place. Like, she just kind of like pops up.
Yep.
And I wasn't expecting that. And I mean, neither was anybody in the movie, but then after that happened, I kind of started predicting what was going to happen with her character, and that's kind of where it went.
Yeah.
So it was overly predictable, especially for being a like spy movie. That's a little, that's kind of a knock if it's a spy movie and you can predict what's happening and what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then even when the movie itself has a theme or whatever of predictability, if you guys are catching what I'm putting down.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. All of that was just kind of, I don't know, a knock. But I think once the second half of the movie started, it really picked up for me. I found myself not thinking about how I liked or disliked the movie. I was just sitting back and enjoying the movie finally.
Yeah.
And I think that's because it finally got a little bit better. The action was closer knit. You were more closely connected to the people you cared about. You were going to like cooler scenes. I don't know. Like, it just felt like it was much more of a good flow. And I think the setup just took a little too long. This didn't. I think this didn't have to be 2 hours and 35 minutes. I think is what I'm getting at. Because it just started a little rough. And I don't think it really needed to. They did such a long setup for our villain and what that is, and the mission thing that we've already seen 1,000 times over, and the fact that he's rogue again, like, all of that is just kind of, why do they keep hiring him if he's gonna go rogue every single time? Like,
Because he gets the job done.
then stop saying he's rogue and stop having the government chase him.
That's right.
I mean,
I hated those guys.
Yes.
Anytime they were on screen, I was like, go away.
yeah, totally agree. There were a lot of deplorable characters that I don't think were meant to be. They just were. They were supposed to be like the moral whatever, and it's like, no, these people are dog shit, and get them off the get them away. First of all, how do they keep just showing up?
Right.
Ethan's having a hard enough time, and these random bozos that don't know the difference between up and down are going to be able to find him exactly every single time before they can get on the train, but he can't.
Yeah. Right.
It's dumb.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a really bad continuing plot point, and I do think I don't dislike Grace as much as you did, but I did find her constant I don't know, betrayal and like untrust and like running away
Yeah.
it just went on a little too long.
I agree.
I think the first couple times made sense, but it just never stopped. It never turned to a point where she understood that if she doesn't side with someone, she's gonna die.
Yeah.
And I think it makes it painfully clear that she can't get out of this without Ethan's help, and she just continues to disbelieve it. And I think they make her character too smart to not know that, which is why it's annoying and stupid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do obviously have a lot of issues, and I've stated a lot of those, but I can't really articulate it in words. But the last hour of the movie, maybe last 45, I really dug into, really got into, and really had a fun time with. I don't know if I'm gonna like a part 2 or not.
Yeah.
We'll see. But overall, my grade was dipping, and then it rose back up because of the ending. So
That's interesting. There's two things that. Oh, first of all, Palm Clementif also is great. She plays Paris, the lady assassin that's helping Gabriel. Except for there's a moment where she gets called by name by I think one of Ethan's guys, and I'm like, we haven't heard your name called this whole time, but they say it as if we had, or something like that. Anyway, there's something that happens with her at the end, and then there's another thing that happens. I was like, I was in, and now I'm out again.
Okay, I don't mind her arc.
No, the arc is fine.
Okay.
It's an action thing that
Sure.
happens.
Okay,
I was
okay.
like, eh.
Okay. I wonder if that's just a byproduct of like shooting and cutting. There may have been a scene where they say her name and it's like a thing.
Yeah.
And then they're like, this doesn't add anything. She's kind of a side character. We don't need an extra depth here.
Right.
And then it gets cut, but then they have already shot the person saying the name, so you can't or they don't think about it.
Oh, that's who it is. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
We'll get into it momentarily.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anything else you guys have for spoiler free? Music is Mission Impossible.
Yeah, it is.
There's nothing else really to say about
And
it.
then it's just silent. At other times, it's either like
I feel like it's pretty. It feels like it's just like stock blockbuster music.
well, there's in the car chase scene. There's a long period where there's just no music, and I think it's supposed to be comedic, but the comedy that I took away from it was more demeaning than it was comedic.
Okay.
So
Okay. Fair enough.
yeah.
Okay. Any more extravagant thoughts, Tristen?
Nope.
Or just normal thoughts.
None. No thoughts at all.
Okay. There are no thoughts going on in the brain in there, so we're going to move on and go to the spoiler part of the review. So if you haven't seen it and you care to go watch it, pause it, and then come back to listen to us talk about the spoilers of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yeah. Should we recommend it?
Oh. Yes.
You should at least see it once, and go see it in theaters if you can. If you're going to watch it on a big screen.
Which won't be really a possibility because Barbie and Oppenheimer are taking over the big screen.
Oh, thank goodness.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, no, I do recommend it. It is still just stupid fun action, and that's fun to go watch in the theater. Take a date, take a guy friend, whatever, or a date that is a guy friend, and yeah, I think it's still a fun watch, and I think you'll leave the theater enjoyed.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a correct term.
You'll leave the theater entertained.
Yeah, or feel like you didn't waste your time.
Yeah.
I think.
It's long enough that
Unless you're a cinephile, then you'll hate it. Or maybe you'll love it, because all the cinephiles I see on Twitter
are loving it. Yeah.
Okay. So
And
yeah,
I wonder if that's more of a love for Tom Cruise than it is for like the Mission Impossible
maybe
franchise.
he's bringing back the theaters. That's what all the stupid Twitter people are saying.
Yeah.
He's saving the theater because Top Gun Maverick and
Movies are back.
Mission Impossible and all
Tom
those.
Cruise single-handedly.
Yep.
doing it.
No one else.
Not even Vin Diesel.
Somebody that wants to make money on you going to the theater is saving the theater.
That being said, though, Tom Cruise does seem to have a general affinity, like a general love for movies, which is nice.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, I don't mean to keep dragging.
It's all good. Okay, so yeah, we'll take a break to get into spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, go and pause it. Yeah. See you in 2 seconds. All right, we're back.
We're back.
After that short little break. Now we're getting into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie and you care all about spoilers, now's the time to pause and go watch it. But I don't know. There's not really that crazy of spoiler stuff. I mean, like I said, it's kind of predictable. So
Yeah.
you'll kind of guess exactly what's happening or what's going to happen throughout the movie.
Yeah.
So I forgot to say one thing during my general thoughts, and it's not a spoiler, but I mean, it technically is, but it's really not.
Sure.
The most annoying thing about this movie is the fact that it does a single shot of the key 7,343 times, and I don't understand why. There'll be a scene where they're talking about the key, and it will cut to the key, just the key. I mean, you can see somebody holding the key, but cut to the key 7 different times in a 1-minute conversation about the key. And that happens, I think, 7 or 8 different times, if not more. There are discussions about the key 7 to 8 times, maybe more. And each time they're having a discussion about the key, they cut to him holding somebody, whoever has the key, holding the key, and they cut to the person holding the key, zoomed in on the key as they're talking about the key. It just is breaking all points of subtlety and movie making. Like, you either talk about it or you show it. Talking about it and showing it 73 times around a movie is just too much.
Yeah.
And
it's a cool looking key.
That was kind of a basic looking key. I mean, it had a cool, I guess, little theme to it, but you found that out in the first 2 minutes, and they told you another 78 times that that's what makes it cool.
Right.
Cool. I just got so fed up with it. And like, they kind of tailored away towards it in the last, because there's more action stuff happening. They stopped talking about what they're going to do, and they started actually doing it. But even then, there would be a scene where they just had to cut to the key 3 times. And I'm like, can we just stop? There's no need. Understand that's the key that's important, that everybody's after. And I know there's fake stuff and there's real stuff, but that's the key. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. I don't need to keep being reminded. But yeah, that was a big problem. You could have cut a good 10 minutes off this movie, just not cutting to the key for the do it 3 times. You're golden.
Yeah.
No more. We understand.
Right.
You've already told us the key is important multiple times. You've shown us throughout the movie by what people are doing that the key is important. And now you're showing us the key to tell us that it's important 73 times. It's just, that's just breaking movie codes.
Yeah.
Like you just can't. Doing all of those things at once is just too much.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. But yeah, we can get into spoilers.
I was gonna say, you're really upset about this.
I was really upset watching the movie, and then I think I mentioned it yesterday to you as well. But, okay, so some spoiler stuff that we want to get into.
Sure. I have kind of a bulleted list in my head. I should probably have written it down, but oh well. The beginning, before the title, or before the title card, the submarine scene, I think is appropriate. I think it's confusing. I think that's supposed to be the idea, is that it's confusing.
Yeah.
But I think that it's a little too confusing. It makes it seem, at least when I watched it, it made it seem like when they took out the little thing for the AI machine, that's what made it show up on radar for a split second, instead of that submarine, the AI making that submarine thinking that there was another submarine.
Yeah.
So I think it was mission accomplished. We were confused, and I think throughout the movie you do realize, okay, no, the AI is on that sub and it wanted to sink itself or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that was a little overdoing it in the beginning. Desert stuff was great. I thought the do you accept the mission thing was fine. When they're talking in the boardroom with Kistler or Kishner or whatever his name is. And like you mentioned, he comes in. The camera cuts to him about 1 million times.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it would be Ethan. I actually thought it might be the AI because it's never blinking. But that's just Tom Cruise in general. I don't think he ever blinks. It's never blinking. And so I was like, okay, either this is Ethan and he's trying to pull some stuff, or it's the AI and it's trying to be, and it's going to like try to kill them or something. But they would just be talking and then it'd flash back to him, and it was very annoying. And then there were moments when they were talking about Isla, I think is her name, Vanessa Kirby's character, I think. how she's in the desert and
Ilsa?
Ilsa, yeah. How she's in the desert and how don't say his name, but they sent Ethan to go take care of it. And then we get flashbacks to scenes that we just watched a minute ago. And I hate when they do that. And
when movies do that,
And it's fine if you flashback that quickly and show us some new information. But when you're just showing us what they're like, and then this woman, Ilsa, she's been cooped up in the desert. And then it shows a shot of her cooped up in her bunker. And they're like, we sent this guy who's going to go in and talk to her. And then it shows a thing we just saw of Ethan breaking into the barracks or whatever. And so that was a little much. And then I think, but the gas mask is cool. I like the rebreather with the goggles. That's all very good prop work.
Logistically doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Right.
Because he wears it for
2 seconds.
Yeah, then takes it off and has no problem.
Yes.
And the fact that that's a open room with open windows and nobody saw huge gas bombs go
green
off.
Gas, yeah.
Because they show a cut, I think, from like downstairs,
right.
And you can just look up and see them talking in the office.
With 10,000, that was a cool premise. I did like that they're converting the entire digital archives of the U.S. government to paper. They kind of did it. They talk about a similar thing in Kingsman, and I've always thought that was a cool idea. The idea of like paper can't be hacked, but it can be stolen, but it's not.
Can be stolen.
Yeah. Anyway, and then we finally got the title card, and I was like, okay, I'm not impressed with how this has gone so far.
Yeah.
But so the card, the jokey thing that I was like, okay, is the joke in that car chase scene just women can't drive?
I think it's just that Grace can't drive.
Okay.
And I don't know why. Yeah. I really don't think they were going for that misogynistic approach. I think that would be really crazy for.
Well, and that's what I was thinking too.
Paramount.
Yeah.
I think it was supposed to be a quirky thing of like Grace is this really smart person who can do all this stuff, but she's a bad driver.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
Sure.
I didn't even think about the joke of women that can't drive. I thought it was just.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where the music cuts out for like an obscene amount of time.
Is when she's trying to drive and it's just driving in circles.
It's when they change cars to the little one. We're without music for a long time, and it's just her struggling to drive.
Yeah, and I didn't know if like maybe that. I mean, he even struggled with the car because it's a weird like smart.
Well, and he's driving with like his arm down under with a handcuff.
I mean, that little car was like some like spy car.
Yeah,
and it didn't have a standard shifter. It had like just a dial.
Circle thing,
oh, that's fair.
Yeah, and like just unmarked buttons to do random stuff.
Like the windshield wipers. Ha, you're so funny. You hit a button and the windshield wipers came on.
Yeah, and you had to click it 3 more times for it to fully go off.
Yeah,
but I just wonder if maybe the car just was different than normal, like it is way stronger than it should be or whatever, like it's way faster than it should be or something weird. But I did have a problem with that specifically because they specifically took time out to switch cars just to 2 seconds later be chased by the same exact people again. That's a bad trope.
And Tweedledee and Tweedledum keep finding them throughout the whole. And now, granted, like the police are also after them, so it's not like it's going to be super hard. But
I mean, the whole reason why they got caught the second time is he ran a red light.
Yeah.
If they purposely went into a car that looks European to blend in, you wouldn't run a red light. They're not that stupid.
Yeah.
So you just don't put that trope in. You can have the BMW car break down, and the only car around is that little stupid bug, and that's a funny bit.
Yeah.
Okay. They were in a BMW. Now they have to be in this really small Italian car. The way they did it was really stupid.
Right. And then
dumb riders.
The train hitting the car, and I guess he just jumps at the right moment and pulls off the steering wheel with it. That was a big ask, I feel like.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was my set with the car chase. There's a moment where Gabriel, they're all at the club, and Gabriel is talking to Ilsa, Grace, and Ethan, and he says, and it's like this super serious, like, you have to choose between these two women of who you're going to let live. One of them must die. And I'm like, oh, are you going to pick this woman that you've known for potentially years? Or this one you met 10 hours ago? Why does she mean anything to you?
Yeah.
And there's even a line in the movie where Ethan says, your life will always matter more than mine, or something like that. And then she goes, you don't even know me. And I'm like, someone said it. Someone finally was like, what is this relationship?
Well, I think that's the point. Is then his next line is like, and I don't have to. Like,
But there's no romantic involvement. There's no like...
Which, I mean, maybe that's supposed to be the point, is that Ethan doesn't have to have a romantic interest in you to feel like your life is meaningful and should be saved.
But there's not even like... They don't even have very many moments like where it's just them and they grow their relationship. Because anytime that he asks her to do anything, she does the opposite. And she tries to get away and she tries to escape all the time. I don't know. I just think that whole relationship is bad in this.
I don't know. I think you're just missing the point. Like,
Whoa. Okay.
I'm just saying, I think that, like, you're wanting it to be a relational thing, and, like, the movie is trying to tell you that it's not a relational thing, and you're trying to connect the dots that aren't there. Because he's in a loving relationship, so he doesn't need a woman.
Where is that with Ilsa?
Yeah.
I didn't think that they were I thought that they were maybe together once, but not anymore.
Throughout, when they finally meet, they say, like, they hug and say they've never been to Venice together, and then when they go to the party, they're holding hands while in the boat. So I thought that was saying that they are romantically involved.
Yeah.
And then I think the point of Grace's character is that this character was thrown into the situation, and he feels like they are now responsible of her because it's not her fault that she got thrown into this. And she's just a person, and people deserve to be saved. It's also why he's trying to destroy the AI in general, is because the AI is going to try to take over the world and is going to kill millions of people. And so his goal, his personality is like, I want to save people, not because I know them, not because I care for them, but because they're people and they deserve to be saved. And I think that's what Grace's character is supposed to represent. It's less of a relationship like, I'm saving you because I want to be with you. It's, I'm saving you because also the relationship wouldn't even really make sense because he's 61 and she's like 19. I mean, I'm sure she's like 24 or something, but
Sure.
The age difference there is wild. But I mean, James Bond shows that doesn't matter, but I don't know. That's what I mean by, I think you're like, I can see why you would connect those because she's attractive and he's the main character, and like they are forcing them together a majority of the film. And usually when films do that, it's to create a relation, like a romantic involvement.
It doesn't even need to be romantic. I feel like there's just nothing. I feel like the movie is forcing them together, and there's just nothing. We don't get anything out of it. There's no growth, really. There's a little bit at the end.
Yeah.
But she's just doing it to save her butt.
Well, no, because in the last moment, she declines the deal and takes the key.
No. At the end.
Okay.
When she says, you offered them a choice and you can offer the same thing to me or something like that.
Well, I feel like she finally had growth at the not before that, when she was at the deal. And then she looked like she was going to betray Ethan and all of them again.
Yeah.
And she decided to decline the money. She pickpocketed the key.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a little stupid that the person woke up right when she was leaving to create a chase scene. Was a little stupid. She should have been able to get away until they check for his pockets. You don't need to have her wake up because the sedative would have been strong enough for her to do the entire thing.
Yeah.
They're not like... I think they constantly, they purposely make these characters make stupid decisions to make things happen, and they could have done them better. But I think that was that was finally her character growth, is that she decided to try to take the key and hopefully find Ethan to try to save this. And when seconds earlier she was about to sell it to...
Right. Yeah. And that's good. But like... I guess I wanted more of a gradual build rather than just she's railing against him the whole time, and then she switches.
I agree. I do think that there should have been more gradual stuff, and that's why I said in spoiler free that she was way too competitive. She was running away too often. Like the first 3-4 times would make sense, but then it started not making sense, and it started just being a nuisance to the film.
Yeah.
Not only to Ethan, but also just to the film, because I don't think it thematically made sense. I don't think it character developmentally made sense. It just kept happening, and it didn't really make sense. And then, so then we do get to the moment, and then I don't know if it was supposed to be like a breaking point, but like those don't seem as realistic or, I don't know.
Yeah.
Thematically correct.
Right.
You want more of a character progression than just a character just deciding to finally flip the switch.
Right. So that switch, along with after the train, the train cars just keep falling one after the other, which was actually I did enjoy that quite a lot. But no, it's when Paris shows up to save them at the very end, and which was fine. But then, like, why does she go? How does she know they're at the back of the train?
I was like,
we can get into it. But
Paris saving them isn't what doesn't make sense. It's that's how they get saved.
Yeah.
And just like Grace getting saved by Tom Cruise just happening to slam into this train car.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
That doesn't make it
no.
Do better.
Right.
You've got to do better than that.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't just have your characters somehow surviving and everything going well off of luck.
Right. And she watched the key fall, and then we get another one of your favorite shots of the key on the floor. And I'm like, the whole time I was like, somebody pick it up.
And the key apparently flew all the way across the...
Yeah, to be at the guy's feet or whatever.
Yeah. And
but,
so this also brings up my biggest complaint of the movie is the fact that the AI just knows everything.
Except for that one thing. He said he'd have the key and he has the lighter instead.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing it gets wrong.
But so it's an AI that's supposed to know things through, one, the internet, two, it can look everything up about you, and so it can like run probability and stuff.
Right.
That doesn't make sense.
Right.
It can't just know exactly how everything is going to happen. That's just not reality. I mean, it feels like they were trying to pull an MCU Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
With the AI, but he's not seeing the future. He's making probability checks. And the thing about probability, it's a probability.
Yeah.
And the fact that you got 99.999999999% of those correct is just false.
Yeah.
Like that's just the way the things that he was able to predict through. Now, like if you could predict it by like, or you could know that it's going to happen because you've like hacked into their system and you know that they're going to be at that place, that makes sense.
Right.
To know that the key is going to fall on the ground because Tom Cruise couldn't make the thing because of the thing, and then he flies off of the thing and he somehow doesn't die, even though his probability of dying from that is like 98%, and then knocks into the like. No, you're not like that's not something that an AI can predict.
Yeah.
And so it was way too far-fetched.
Which is why I think this antagonist would work better if this was a 90s movie when AI was still you could take AI as like this all omnipotent basically being. But in 2023 when we have actual AI and we have other movies that portray AI better.
Yeah.
Because like we know it got into the party. We know it can travel, we know it can do whatever. Yeah. So why does why are you giving it limitations when it should just be able to do whatever it wants? Like it should, but the way they're describing it, it should already have like nuclear codes to missile silos.
It already said that it can hack into everything in the government. Like it's hacked into everything. And the only reason why we know it did is because it let you. Yeah. Like it decided to let you know that it was there so that you knew that it could.
It is a cool image though. I like the image of the eye as it is kind of like darting around. Mm-hmm. It's neat. So the last thing, and this one's the stupidest of the ending that kind of like made me do whatever. The train car that he has his bag in just happens to be the last one, and he doesn't even like look for it or be like, "Oh, I have to go get my bag." He just like turns and it's right there.
Yeah, that's fair. I do remember him putting it down.
Yes, that does happen. And
Yeah.
so,
But
and
just-
that's of those like things at the end where I'm like, okay, I'm not totally on board with this. That's the least of my
But
worries.
it's still like, it just happened to be the last one to not fall.
right.
And then the idiot FBI or
Oh,
CIA
yeah.
cops come in like, okay, you just saved this whole entire train. You've saved the world. We're going to arrest you now for going rogue on a mission that we gave you that we knew you were going to go rogue on.
Right. Yep.
They were by far, I think, the most. I think they were the worst part about the movie. And they even hinted at a possibility of the person learning.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
doesn't do
And
anything with
nothing.
it. I assume maybe part 2, but that's a problem with the part 2. You're
Yep.
just, yeah.
And and the only reason they exist throughout the movie as a whole is so that we can use them to get people off the train at the end. Have Paris get people off the train. Have Paris come in and have the change of heart and then get them off instead of having him be the reason that Gabriel gets away.
Or the governor. Or not the governor, whatever, the CIA, the
Kitchler.
yeah. You could have, like, look, we're all going to die, or you can let me do my thing
Yeah.
and save these people, and like maybe you get him to have a small change of heart to at least do that. But there was no reason to have the CIA people, or I don't know who they really are, but
MFI. No, MIF. Mission Impossible Force. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so that's my laundry list. Thanks for
No, it's Impossible
Thanks for-
Mission Force.
Oh.
It's dumber than what it should be. It should be Mission Impossible Force.
Yeah.
But instead they make it Impossible Mission Force. Yeah, IMF,
There you go.
which is stupid. I also thought it should be MIF.
Yeah.
Maybe they thought it was too close to MILF.
Elf. Yeah.
Yeah, they should have made it Mission Impossible Legendary Force.
There you go.
Okay. We got any more thoughts on this movie?
No.
You're so patient, Tristen.
I think I let out most of my grievances. I'm sorry there wasn't a lot of good stuff. I think
I think we did. We complimented it pretty well in non spoilers.
yeah. Yeah, it's just the I thought all the action stuff was pretty good. I don't know. I do think it was kind of weird that the face thing just messed up, but I think they just wanted
Yep.
they wanted the jump scene.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they don't even have a good reason. He's just like, it's just fried. I don't know what happened. And
Yeah.
it's like, I thought they were going to be like,
And we have to go right now.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't it have also taken a little time for this thing to go, like finish this? And
Right.
you have to go right now? What?
all they had to do was just be like, I plugged it into the computer to like download the face graphic, and then the AI got to it and it fried it or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we can go ahead and do ratings real quick and then move on.
3.5.
3.
4. Yeah. I don't know. It might even go down, but after watching it, I walked out thinking 4.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm sticking with at the moment.
Cool.
I didn't let myself talk it down because I think I'm only remembering the things I didn't like, and I'm having a hard time. Like my brain is pointing at the things I didn't like and regurgitating that in my head instead of the things that I did like.
Yeah.
So
Oh, there was, sorry to make this go longer. There was one more thing. I think a reason that maybe I'm not a super big fan of these movies is I think all these actors are really great. I think the script is not good. They all talk like people don't talk the way that they do.
that's fair.
And so, but anyway.
Little riff.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's the end of our review of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation Part 1. No, not Rogue Nation. Dead Reckoning Part 1. Yeah. Next week we've got a double feature with Oppenheimer and Barbie. We will be doing a double feature because we're all watching both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor's watching Wednesday, Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
and we're watching double feature Saturday, 10 a.m. till like 5, maybe 4.
Nice.
Because we have a 10 o'clock in the morning. We're going to see a nuke go off for Oppenheimer. And then I think our Barbie showing's at 2.
Nice.
So it gives us like an hour and a half to eat lunch and then get back to the theater to watch.
There you go. I scheduled my Oppenheimer because that's what came out first to get seats
Yeah.
for. And
They've been out
then-
for a long time.
And then Barbie snuck in. They had the AMC
Early.
Stubbs early pass, and so I'm gonna go be
Yeah.
in the Barbie world first.
I was specifically waiting. Barbie didn't have any showings over the weekend until last Sunday, I think.
Oh,
it was when they finally released more. Like they finally released more of their schedule.
Yeah.
Because all they had was Oppenheimer at 6 p.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
That was the only showing they had in Dolby. So I was like, I want to do a double feature. I don't want to book anything yet.
Yeah.
And I guess I was one of the first ones to look when they released the times.
Good.
Because Oppenheimer didn't have a single person in the theater yet.
Oh, yeah.
And then Barbie had 4 other people in the theater when we booked it.
Are you seeing them both in Dolby?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was waiting for.
I think my Barbie's going to be in digital for me, but Oppenheimer's
But it'll be
Dolby.
the big one.
Yeah.
Big digital.
I think so.
Yeah. But yeah, I was trying to do really, your early screening's not going to be in Dolby?
I think so.
That's odd. I figured the early screening, because Oppenheimer won't be in there yet, so.
Well, I guess if it changes, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Well, they might, they could still be doing Mission Impossible.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's very possible, because Mission Impossible really fought to get as many Dolby showings as they could.
Yeah.
And we're really mad that they couldn't get any Dolby showings for this next weekend.
Yeah.
And it's like, you picked a bad week,
Sorry,
man.
Yeah,
you
sorry, Tom
can't.
Cruise. We're gonna put Christopher Nolan in Dolby.
Yeah, and Greta Gerwig's. Those are the 2 hypest movies of the last 3 months.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, I'll have to look at the theaters capacity.
Oh, sure.
This weekend to see if they're legitimately all sold out, because I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
So, okay, yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. We'll be back next week with that double feature, and we will be reviewing both of them. I don't know if we'll review Open Barbie or Barbieheimer. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be reviewing Barbieheimer or if we're going to do 2 separate episodes. We'll discuss it, and but you will get something for both of those. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you guys, and have a good one.
Hey, moron!
You talking to me? You talking to me?
And there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Hello?
What an idiot!
Well, what do you expect? I'm the Movie Moron.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Don't call me stupid.
Oh, right! To call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people! I've known sheep that could outwit you.
Yeah, well, that's just like, your opinion, man.
Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
No, none taken.